looks like America's not the only one sick of this bullshit. Yeah, true up. I say thank you, Canada. Can't attack the country, then we coming for the planet, yeah. This seems like something the government been really planning, yeah. We ain't taking vaccines, we don't really want a minute, yeah. I say thank you, Canada. I say thank you, Canada,
for all you done. Parking all your trucks and blocking roads, I think we won. Moving through God's country, yeah, we whipping Tonka trucks. Keep pushing on that gas, going up like what the pump. But walking for the Lord, Jesus Christ, he be my lean. Got me slowed up, mental state, I be the fiend. Flipping through chapters so my mind stay on the scene. Say thank you, Canada, cause you're not focused on the green. I mean, drifting through the land, sipping from the girl, spilling holy blood, you know, go to jail, but you voted for the dummy with no sales, feeling walking, yeah, he does it very well. You running off time again, you running your mind again, we wanna just make amends, begin.
I say thank you, Canada. Can't attack the country, then we coming for the planet, yeah. This seems like something the government been really planning, yeah. We ain't taking vaccines, we don't really want a minute, yeah. I say thank you, Canada. I say thank you, Canada.
USA the greatest land that's planet on this planet, yeah. Pay my people out here working hard to feed their family, yeah. Do you want 100 patriots? I'll do it, damn it. Fighting for freedom, that's a habit. Don't punch in on tracks, I stab it. I look black, but I'm Hispanic. All my haters can't vanish. USA don't understand it. Why you kneeling, but we standing? That flag waving so high, them Democrats, they wanna crash it. Just for my brothers out here on the road creating trouble. Really make no time for OC strips. Everything that I ever wanted in life was on an e-board strip. Ask me what I rap, I tell you GOP to death. You tell me that you liberal, I tell you just say less.
I say thank you, Canada. Can't attack the country, then we coming for the planet, yeah. This seems like something the government been really planning, yeah. We ain't taking vaccines, we don't really want a minute, yeah. I say thank you, Canada. I say thank you, Canada. Can't attack the country, then we coming for the planet, yeah. This seems like something the government been really planning, yeah. We ain't taking vaccines, we don't really want a minute, yeah. I say thank you, Canada. I say thank you, Canada. What up, everybody? What up, y'all? What up? Welcome to Most Hated Mondays, another edition, discussion edition. What up, y'all? That was a song called Canada. Canada. Get your drinks, y'all. Get your drinks. Get your happy dads. Get your popcorn out, y'all. Let's go. Let's hang out tonight. Let's have a discussion. That was a song called Canada by Kelvin J. New record just dropped called God Gang. Go pick that up on all platforms right now. Trying to get Kelvin J on the show soon so you guys can meet him and hear more of his record. But it just released a couple days ago, so get that. God Gang by Kelvin J. That song is called Canada, featuring Nick Natoli and Ron J. Spike, y'all. Shout out all my people in Canada following, watching right now, and watching on the repeat. And shout out all the freedom fighters here in the United States and worldwide, you guys. Tonight we got a little bit of a different episode. Like I said, we're gonna do a little bit of a discussion type thing. So if anybody here wants to join in on the discussion, you want to cam up, hit the little camera button there at the bottom. Last week we talked a little bit about chemtrails. We had about 4 or 5 different guests, so that was kind of cool. Everybody kind of coming in and giving their perspective and their takes on what is going on up there above us. A lot of the things that we see and we're going through right now, obviously number one being COVID-19. Recently, I never really looked up and paid attention to what was going on, upstairs in the skies. And hey, what's up, man?
G'day, mate. How you going?
How you doing? Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, no, cheers for having us. Brutally honest, in a bit of pain. I broke my toe this afternoon.
Oh shit! All right. Well,
yeah.
Why don't you go for everybody? Anybody who wants to cam up? Dr. Assad running late, so join momentarily. But again, this is open discussion. So if anybody wants to join, we're going to start the discussion here soon on chemtrails. So go ahead and hit the camera button if you want to join the discussion. But Jacko, go ahead, introduce yourself and tell us what the hell happened, man.
Oh, g'day everyone. So I'm Jacko. I'm an Aussie guy living in Toronto. I was up in Ottawa with the trucks. Part of the freedom fight up here. But long story short, I stubbed my toe and actually broke my pinky toe. So it was fun afternoon. Just accident.
Oh, all right. Happy Monday.
Yeah, exactly. That is what it is.
All right. And so you said you're from Toronto?
I live in Toronto, but I'm from Australia, Perth, Western Australia. Yeah.
All right. And how long were you in Australia?
This is going to circle.
You're cutting out. Can you guys, how's the feed, y'all? How's the feed? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
All right. I don't know. Maybe it's on my end. I'm sorry. I missed all that, man. What can you say, how long have you been living in Canada?
So I've been living in Canada for just about 2 years. Like I moved over November 2020, so a year and a half. And before that, I was living in Perth my whole life. So I always lived in Australia, just been in Canada for just under 2 years.
All right. Hey, everybody's saying that the live is kind of a bad connection. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? I lost Jacko. Let me know, y'all, if you can hear me or if we got to restart this. Can y'all hear me? I can hear you, but I can't see you. This is trippy.
Wow. It is dark here outside. Can you see me now? Hello.
All right, let's see here. How are we doing?
Can you hear me?
All right, are we good, y'all? In the comments, let us know how we are before we start talking. Is everything clear? Go ahead, speak, and let's see if they can hear you.
Can everyone hear me? I don't know. I have a lot of trouble with live streams at the moment. Don't know what's really going on with my Instagram account, but it doesn't always work.
It's perfect right now on my end.
Sweet, perfect. Happy days.
All right. Danielle says we're all right. All right. So yeah, again, if you wouldn't mind, while we're waiting for Dr. Assad, if you could just spend a minute introducing to the people. And bring Danielle on too, but who you are, and I know you've been there since, I guess, late 2020. So how was it in Australia? And, you know, tell us a little bit about how it's been in Canada during the lockdowns and stuff.
Well, yeah, so I moved over in 2020, November 2020, so right in the heat of all the bullshit lies. Obviously, everyone knows Australia's in a bit of a bad way. A lot of overreaching government legislation being passed while everyone's distracted with COVID. It's been the same in Canada, same in Australia and New Zealand. It's all the same bullshit going on. So I've been protesting over here since before the trucks went to Ottawa. I was marching in Toronto for a long time now, every weekend. I've always had a bit of a critical mind to what's going on. So even pre-COVID, I know there was, you know, secret societies of people and all these conspiracies were probably pretty true, you know, like I always question the narrative with 9/11 or question the narrative with lots of things, you know. But then, yeah, it's all obviously culminated with the absolute shitstorm of lies that they've tried to feed us for the last 2 years. And, enough's enough. So I went up to Ottawa with the trucks and decided to stay, and I ended up spending 35 days between the trucks on the hill and then with the camps that started up subsequently with all the people that were trying to find their way home and stuff. I stayed and helped support them and kept them going, sort of thing, with whatever I could do. And
What's up?
yeah,
I don't mean
that's
to
my
interrupt. Go ahead, Jacko.
That's all good. So I was coming to an end anyway. So that's basically my story. And then, yeah, I've been traveling around all different towns in Ontario since Ottawa, spreading the message of what's going on. Yeah. And obviously doing a lot on social media to share the news of what's actually happening around the world, and, you know, try and break their bullshit narrative apart.
That's all we can do. You know, we got to try to get the message out there. So you left in the middle of basically of lockdown in late 2020. I'm sorry if you said it, but what made you go to Canada?
Oh, so there's a long story to my wanting to come to Canada. So I wanted to do it when I was younger, in my early 20s, and then life got in the way. Ended up getting married and everything, and then so put it all on hold. And then when that all fell apart, I had the opportunity to come. So everything was booked and paid for. By December 2019, I had my whole trip paid for, organised to move over in July 2020, and then had to put it on hold. And then had the opportunity to jump on the plane in November. So I filled out my permission to leave form with the Australian government, got granted the permission, and made the move. And about 2 days before I got out of my 2-week quarantine here in Toronto, they went into their lockdown at the end of 2020, and I ended up in lockdown here for the whole time. So kind of haven't really got to experience North America the way I wanted to. You know, by this stage, I wanted to have gone all through the US, Mexico, all sorts of stuff. But obviously, if I travel, I might not get back into Canada. So can't do any of that. It's fun.
Yeah. Crazy. Hello, Danielle. Danielle, introduce yourself and welcome.
Hello. Sorry, I'm just getting everything kind of thrown up here so I don't have to be holding things. Yeah, I tried to get on and then they blocked me. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. I couldn't accept you. That was crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's been happening a lot. I'm sure Jack already knows this too. It's almost every freedom fighter is getting some kind of pushback from Instagram being like, no, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to go on. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Well, clearly everyone wants to hear what we have to say, but they're not letting us. So I think this should be fine. I'm afraid to let it go, but so yeah, hi. So I'm Danielle, friend of Jacko's, friend of yours as well, but we haven't met in person. Yeah, I wrote that earlier. I've been on this whole chemtrail thing for 20 years. Yeah, way back in the day. Yeah, it's been just an interesting topic to pay attention.
See the planes with these streaks that stay there. I knew something was up, and obviously being a bit of a excavator of rabbit holes, I like to dig into anything that comes across my desk, sort of thing. And when I started looking into that, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, I really started to delve into what was happening in the sky, and then HAARP and everything. It's quite a crazy rabbit hole to go down.
It is. It is. I remember when I first started talking about HAARP, and people honestly, like, they would just look at me like I had two heads, and I was just like, yeah, no. I'm like, in Alaska where they have, and they're shooting things into the atmosphere, and people are like, no, you're completely insane. Everything is that's bananas. Never happened. I'm just like, mm-hmm. And now it's just becoming more like, oh, we are doing that, but it's for everyone's safety and protection, to make sure that, we're watching weather patterns, and we're doing it benevolently. We're all like, it's all for the good of humanity to be able to control these things. It's ridiculous.
All right, are we back, y'all? Are we back? Because
You are now.
All right, you guys have been back. You guys have been there the whole time. I've been messed up. All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody to the show, and hopefully we're done with our pauses. Everything looks great on my end right now, so awesome. So yeah, I'm glad to have this discussion tonight. Sorry I missed out on a little bit you guys said. I apologize. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry.
No, Instagram needs to be sorry. It's Instagram's fault.
I guess so. So I guess we'll just so what's your guys' thoughts on what's going on? Because a lot of people say contrails versus chemtrails, okay? And feel free to chime in on that. But more importantly, what is it that they're spraying? Do we know? And is it safe for people like they say? What's your guys' thoughts? Is it weather manipulation? Is it to try to create fires? Is it to get people sick? Is it COVID? Is that what is making everybody sick? What's your guys' thoughts? We'll start with you, Jacko.
Well, weather cloud seeding is, there's patents you can look up online that explain cloud seeding. So it's definitely weather manipulation. From the research I've done, it looks like they're spraying barium, aluminium, other nanoparticles into the air. There's a thing come out recently showing people have got microplastics in their lungs, and even people that weren't wearing masks, or even in the testing where it wasn't with a mask, they were still finding microplastics in the samples. So who knows what? I honestly don't know what they're spraying, but I didn't get consulted on it. No one in mass got consulted on it. We never voted on this. And these people keep pushing this climate change. The climate's changing. The weather's changing. The weather's changing. Well, you're fucking spraying the skies every other day. Don't tell me that I can't drive a car because the weather's changing while you change the fucking weather.
Well, okay, so real quick on that cloud seeding part. Everything I've seen on cloud seeding seems to talk about, like, when there's a storm, they go out and they basically amplify either the rain or the snow or whatever. But what are they doing then when it's perfectly sunny with no clouds out?
Well, they're spraying the barium and the aluminium, I believe. I don't know what's in the spray. Like, I know the Monday of the Easter weekend, so last weekend here in Ontario.
How was that?
I was in Niagara on Monday morning, and it was clear skies when I first woke up. And then I saw about 15 lines in the sky, and then by 1 o'clock that afternoon, the sky was completely overcast, and by, I don't know what time exactly it started snowing, but we had a snowstorm. Yeah. So it goes from sunny, warm spring day in the morning to the afternoon, a snowstorm. And I mean, I can't speak to Canada's weather because I've only been here a short time, but that to me didn't seem right.
Was that in the weather though? Was that like, was that coming predicted in the weather pattern, or? I'm not sure. I hadn't been keeping an eye on what the weather prediction was, but the fact that it was clear skies, they sprayed the sky, it turned overcast and then snowed, and it wasn't that cold, it didn't, in my opinion, it didn't seem cold enough to snow. But as I said, I'm no expert on Canadian weather patterns. So any local can chime in.
Yeah, I was going to say.
What are your thoughts on the cloud
seeding So they did predict that, but again, whether something is predicted because of something they've done or whether it's predicted, just on a natural thing, it's become so blurred. Like I said, I've been following this stuff for way too long. I should not be dating myself for this, but yeah, for a very long time. And like probably like maybe 10 to 15 years ago, there was talk about like lighting snow on fire, which I tried. And it would be weird. The snow, it wouldn't just melt. I actually do remember that I lit it and it would burn, and it was the weirdest crap. And I was like, I don't remember this as a kid. Like, how is this not talked about? So there's definitely something in our atmosphere, and however, well, there's plenty of people who have been writing what their ingredients are, because these people go around, they'll collect specimens, from the ground after it's being sprayed. So there are tests that they've been doing. They have been checking this and going through, on the molecular level, exactly what is being sprayed. Barium being one, like Jacko said, aluminum particles, that kind of stuff. So my personal opinion on why they're doing it, I think it actually comes down more so to, essentially, I know this can sound terrible because most of these people, sorry, somebody's writing me. Most of these people, you'd assume want to live longer on a planet. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling that they've been doing this to essentially make the planet inhabitable. They've been doing it for so long. I'm not going to turn around and say they're planning on absolutely killing every single one of us or blah, blah, blah. But, making it harder for things to naturally grow, making it, this is one of the reasons why Monsanto and Roundup and all of these major chemical corporations, why they've been messing with not only the skies, but the soil and things like that, so that it's becoming more and more difficult to kind of be self-sustaining, to be on your own, to, have your own food sources, to, not need them in that sense. So that's,
So you mentioned, I've seen some videos, and I just started looking up and paying attention to this, to be honest, a few months ago. So, but I've seen some videos where they've admitted to saying that it's silver iodide to cloud seed, but they say that I haven't done the research on that to know if that's healthy for you or not. But one thing I found interesting is it was a pilot speaking. He said it's basically, by the time it lands, it's such small amounts that it doesn't have an effect on you. Okay, now silver, I don't know, this doesn't seem like it would be good for maybe to be in human bodies, but the thing is I see it happening. You guys are in Canada. I'm not sure where she's at, but I'm in Southern California. This is around the world, and it's like, what is this stuff? Why are we all sitting here wondering what's in there, debating it? This seems to be maybe it's not orchestrated, but it's crossing countries and state lines, when it comes here. And the pilot that I saw, and I'll hand it back to you, Danielle, real quick, and then we'll pass it to, I'm sorry, what's your name down here?
Demetria.
Okay, we'll pass it to her after you. Who's paying for this? Because the pilot said the counties are, with respects to here in the United States. But I've also heard they can localize it to certain cities. Like they're basically saying they can do whatever they're doing, create more rain or snow in a certain city. They can basically hone it down into that small of an area. So what is it? Why don't we know this? And if it's happening worldwide, and it's been happening this long, who's behind all of this? And I don't know, I can sit here and ask a million questions, so go ahead.
So there's a couple key things that I want to point out to everyone here. First and foremost, what you're discussing about what's coming out as, just weather modification, cloud seeding. That is not to me the origins of chemtrails. That is their official narrative that they've been able to get away with since the Olympics from, why am I drawing a blank on the name? Hello, China, Beijing Olympics. When Beijing officially came out and said, hey, we did this on purpose so that we don't have crappy weather for our Olympics, then they started going, okay, we have to admit to some type of modification that we've been doing. So I don't personally think that it actually has anything to do, really, at the end of the day, with true weather modification, where it has more to do with, like I said, I think the end all goal of ruining our land, ruining our water, making it uninhabitable, like I said. So, okay. This is why I'm saying there's two kind of different topics when it comes to that, because it's like, yes, they've officially been able to admit to this one. They've officially been able to talk about this one, saying, yeah, weather modification, but again, it's our own benevolence, because it's for your betterment. Everything, it's good for us, because we don't want crappy weather during the Olympics. Like literally that's how ridiculous it is, right? But they've now put that seed into people's minds of going, oh, we can accept that. We can accept that sometimes it's required to play with nature and to modify the weather. So now they've associated chemtrails with this kind of benevolence, like, oh, it's good for people. Whereas instead, before, if you talked about chemtrails and anyone who did know about them before, you know, the Beijing Olympics, usually it was automatically they're going to kill us all. Like,
all right. Dr. Assad just joined in. So, Demetria, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'll bounce.
No, Danielle, I'll let you stay because you actually are speaking facts. You deserve it.
Demetria, go ahead. No, but you came on. You wanted to say something, so I want to give you a few minutes.
No,
go ahead and just. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm good. That's fine.
Oh, Jacko's
right.
gone.
All right. What happened with Jacko? All right. Well, let's get Jacko back. There we go. Here we go. They're both coming back here. So let's see here.
I'm like, what just happened? Sorry, I clicked off for a second and then.
Let's see if we can get this going, y'all. Let's see if we can get this going.
Yo, what's up?
Here we go. Dr. Assad, Danielle. All right, here we go.
What's up, guys? Yeah, sorry I'm late. Yeah, I've been on to this for the last 25 years or so. And man, when we were younger, I'm 44. When we were younger, like they sprayed back then, but they didn't douse the skies like every day the way they're doing it now. You'd have like semi-natural like skylines and like beautiful like different, like they don't allow for that. Like today, for example, where I'm living, they must have done a ton overnight. So the reason why all of it goes together real quick, this is gonna seem a little like kind of almost like shamanic Native American type stuff. The reason all of it ties in together is because fundamentally our consciousness interacts and changes the weather literally like instantaneously. Like, so Native American rain dances or like kind of sun ceremonies, all that stuff is real. The physics that they taught us is completely falsified. Both general relativity and quantum mechanics have massive flaws in them. And the reason they're flawed is because they basically remove the element and the concept of there being a background ether that connects space sort of like in a non-Euclidean fashion, okay? So all points in space are actually fully connected, but by going sort of like in an orthogonal dimension, like call it the fourth dimension, it's the wrong way to look at it, but that ether is what connects all of reality together. And the science that's based on like eliminating that from the equation has profound implications for physics, chemistry, biology, medicine, and all this shit basically this is kind of a Luciferian science, dude. It's built upon like kind of just like they have you like confused about space or whatever's going on down here in terms of the shape of the earth. All this stuff goes together. It's like very intimately connected. An interesting paper I've been running into, because the main three elements in the chemtrails that we're finding is like aluminum, barium, and strontium, right? You see them everywhere. So people just were thinking for a while they're just spraying those chemicals and a few other things. But there is a pollutant called coal fly ash. And I don't know much about coal factories and plants and stuff like that, but there is a coal fly ash is a pollutant that basically does contain all these metals that we find in these chemtrails, like aluminum, arsenic, barium, cadmium, cobalt, molybdenum, nickel, lead, tin.
Okay.
So yeah,
I've got to quickly jump in. My phone keeps telling me that Instagram's making it overheat and I'm going to get kicked off in 20 seconds. So I don't know what's happening.
oh,
But as
shit.
soon as I get on, I get this message. I'm going to take a screenshot so I can share it to you.
They kind of froze up everyone's shit kind of there for a second. I don't know. So
You
yeah,
want to come on? Can you come on your other account, bro?
yeah. Let me try that.
No, you're good, Dr. Assad.
Okay, yeah,
Dr.
for
Assad, you're good.
Jacko. Yeah, for Jacko. Yeah. So this let me just show this over here, right? So like, yeah, because the question is, this scientist, and I think this paper was retracted. This scientist was in San Diego, and he's like noticed absolutely clear skies for like decades growing up. There's not even San Diego's microenvironment, climate-wise, isn't conducive to the development of clouds hanging out there forever, or even for contrails even for jet contrails to ice out and stay stuck like that. It's too hot down there. But he's noticing persistent clouds, sort of like spraying patterns. And if you look at this, this is the chemical composition of coal fly ash that is commonly made at these factories. Any factory that kind of burns coal or something like that is going to have an element of it that's going to be coal fly ash, and it's so toxic they can't let it through. They're not allowed to like fumigate in the atmosphere. They basically have to like specially capture it and then like discard it properly. Well, they may be discarding it in your fucking skies, dude, because this coal fly ash does have electrically active elements in there that could serve as a function. So they may not have to be they may not like be making some special brew up to like spray on us, right? This is super fine material. If this really is coal fly ash, then you get all the factors of being able to geoengineer and manipulate the weather through all like the antennas and the electromagnetic frequencies, but you also get like subtle exposure to like a highly toxic form of soot, which could also explain why there's respiratory issues. Like the fact that, for example, dude, like just a segue for 1 second, like the whole watch the water thing, the reason what pissed me off, one, they never even talked about this lung-based disease, and they're spraying the fuck out of the skies nonstop. Like, to be denial of this is like beyond shameful. Like at this point, like it's very difficult not to notice it, and it's very difficult not to notice the pattern that you see. You'll always see that it tracks the sun. Why is it always tracking the sun? These are photosensitive, photoionically sensitive particles that track the path of the sun. They know that. Then they do additional antenna manipulation to make sure it blocks the sun. Because you'll always look across the opposite part of the sky, assuming it's not a fully clouded out day. It's totally clear and blue. And like, come on, like it's following it. So I mean, like if that doesn't fuck with you and your sensibilities, like something has to eventually shake you about that. So they're able to basically do that, and then this is like this chemical like composition of this coal fly ash could explain really so many issues. You know what I mean? It really can explain why you would be messing up brain function, causing like cognitive disarray. So even without the electromagnetic field radiation that we're exposed to, just spraying this stuff consistently in the atmosphere will absolutely change human behavior. Will make us more chaotic, will make us more like just unable to work together, confused, fucked up on the ground, like with chickens with their head cut off. So yeah, guys, like I mean, I'm reading this paper through. This paper has been retracted actually, but like it's so crazy when I'm reading through it. It literally is talking about all of our experiences. Now, usually you don't read academic papers that talk about like the fact that, you know, let me just jump up to the top real quick, where basically the widespread, let me just read the abstract. The widespread, intentional, increasingly frequent chemical emplacement in the troposphere has gone unidentified and unremarked in the scientific literature for years. The author presents evidence that toxic coal combustion fly ash is the most likely aerosolized particulate sprayed by the tanker jets for geoengineering, weather modification, and climate modification purposes. And then he goes on to describing it by just like checking rainwater and like soil sample stuff to absolutely reinforce that actually it matches coal fly ash contamination most perfectly. And this paper was written in 2015. They eventually
pardon my ignorance, but
yeah.
I just saw something like a few days ago. There was like black rain somewhere.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
What was that? Is that just something different?
It literally could be just they're spraying so much of this that some of this is participating down in larger particulates. Now, some people are saying it's like graphene oxide derivatives and stuff like that. That's hard to really exactly know without doing testing. And although graphene oxide is getting cheaper, it's still relatively expensive to produce. So it's most likely this, dude. They're just doing it every day nonstop to the point where like at some point it's going to saturate everything in the atmosphere, you know, and it has to like fall in some way. Because it's like, think about it, decades and decades. and it hangs up there. So there's other things that they've talked about doing. So this is in 2015. They retract the paper. Now, like the lady was saying, I'm sorry, I don't know who it was. They're talking about just making us kind of comfortable to the idea by openly talking about it, right? 2-3 years ago, they found Harvard released a study linked with Gates about like how we need to do solar geoengineering to control the temperature, right? 2-3 years ago, right? Because they have to address the elephant in the room. Like when it gets this far out, then they do have to do a somewhat proactive strategy. Complete denial doesn't exactly work either.
Yeah.
So now that's why they have to move over to that, and also to like kind of like make you comfortable with the idea that they're doing it. You know.
No, I agree with that 100%. And I just, the reason I bring up the cloud seeding is just because that is what they admit to doing, right?
Yes.
And then, but I question, what can you be cloud seeding when it's 80 something degrees out, perfectly blue skies? And what you just mentioned on was, it seems to track and trail the sun, which last Monday I said, it seems like to me they're trying to block the sun. But the guy's like, well, they're not blocking it. I mean, okay, they're masking it. They're putting, or maybe they're magnifying it. I don't know. Jacko, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what Dr. Saab?
They're blocking the sun, dude. They're blocking the sun.
Because what are your thoughts, Jacko, on what Dr. Saab was saying about coal fly ash? Have you heard about that before?
Yes, I have.
Oh, okay. And I just ran into it recently. I never heard of it before.
Yeah, no, I only heard about it like a few weeks ago when I started delving a bit into chemtrails, like face first sort of thing. And they're definitely trying to block out the sun. I personally think part of it is what they're doing right now is to put off the growing season. And they're putting off the growing season, and also down in Australia with the floods that have happened in northern New South Wales and southern Queensland on the border there. Massive major flooding, you know, twice in 1 month. You know, that's very unusual.
Yeah, they instigated that for sure.
100%. You look at some of the videos I've shared and the images since I shared a few videos on my Instagram, I've had people all around the world sending me photos of strange clouds and chemtrails and stuff, and you know the rain radar where you see from a town some strange beam coming out heading straight towards cloud formations. Yeah, really, there's out of a town in Noree called Moree in Queensland, New South Wales border region in Australia, where there was a lot of flooding. Not actually too far from the Gold Coast, Surf Paradise area.
And allow me to interrupt you real quick, Jacko. For everybody in here, what he's talking about, if you're not aware, is there's been major flooding. Basically, is that the east coast of Australia?
Yeah,
on the east coast of Australia, and I'm going to hand it right back to you. I believe this is kind of rare in that area, but HAARP, which is weather manipulation, allows them to basically do exactly what you're kind of touching on. I'm going to pass it right back right now, which is bounce and hold and kind of like maybe, and even with just the cloud seeding that they admit to, they can isolate that, you know, and HAARP is basically a military, you know, weather manipulation, right? That goes back several decades that again is admitted to. And so who's to think they weren't using some sort of weather manipulation like you're saying in Australia? So tell the people again about what you're talking about Australia and the flooding that's happening there and what you saw on the radar and what's on your page.
So yeah, it's the regions near Byron Bay, so right on the Queensland New South Wales border. It's a very you know, natural living, trying to live off grid, sort of a lot of hippies in the area sort of thing, you know, lots of people that eat healthy, do yoga, try to live a natural lifestyle. The highest vaccine hesitant area, I shouldn't have said that word, that's going to flag and I'm probably going to get kicked off any second.
Go ahead,
but,
say whatever you want.
Yeah, they're very, very critical thinking people that don't rush into any experiments, you know, let's put it that way.
Okay.
And twice in 1 month, it's been flooded quite heavily. I came across a video. It wasn't my own. I shared it on my Instagram. A gentleman was capturing all the radar imagery and all that over the time of the flooding, and it seemed as though the clouds were being held in place because there were straight lines forming and the cloud wasn't moving forward. You could see beams coming out of this town. You could also see when he turned to the thermal imagery out off the coast, it looked like it was hitting negative 60 degrees Celsius. Now that's the Pacific Ocean not too far from the Great Barrier Reef. It doesn't get to negative 60 at any time of the year in the Pacific Ocean, let alone at this time of year, and that close to the coastline. And that was exactly where all these clouds were coming. So I personally think it was a intentional attack on the area to try and get people to move out of the area and move into their smart cities, as they're talking about. So yeah, and the thing coming out now that I've just recently found out is a lot of these people are going to be forced to move out of their area and move into cities because the insurance premiums on their land has become so high they can't afford to pay the insurance. And as for the area getting floods, yes, it is an area that does flood from time to time, but to have 2 floods in 1 year in the same area, let alone 2 floods in 1 month, that's just, come on, that's,
yeah.
You got to be an idiot to think that's really going to happen.
And they,
I think, you know, there real quick, I'll hand it to you real quick, Dr. Assad, to speak on what he said. But, you know, there's a lot of different avenues, I think, and we're kind of all dipping and diving in and out of all these between cloud seeding and weather manipulation, or, you know, or to be used for nefarious reasons versus chemicals being sprayed maybe on you to like you said, somebody, Danielle was saying, I think, to, you know, kind of like limit the population, you know, or I've heard people say that it's actually affecting the trees and drying them out or making them more flammable per se, you know, and so anyways, there's a lot of avenues to go down, of course. And so I think you're right, Jacko, you know, weather manipulation, I think is not even necessarily per se. I wanted to more speak on like the spraying that we see in the skies, which I don't think that they're necessarily creating, like out here, they're not creating floods, right? They can use it to manipulate weather. That's scary. That's crazy. They even have like 2 towers in Alaska, 1 in Puerto Rico. The European Union has 1, and there's 1 in Russia. I played the video last week. You know, HAARP. Like there's like 5 or 6. I don't know if Australia has one.
There's one in Western Australia on the Exmouth Peninsula.
Yeah. So I mean, there's one thing for the shit they're spraying on us, and then there's another which is like they're controlling like. I mean, I always say if they can create more rain and snow, who's to say they can't dry things up and heat them up and make them flammable or create global warming, right? And a lot of people are saying recently global warming's kind of gone away. Now it's just climate change, right? And this fits kind of the whole narrative that we're talking about tonight. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Jacko. Did you want to finish your thought there before Dr. Saab?
No, that's all good, mate. That's all good. Yeah, well, touching on HAARP, so think if they're spraying, HAARP's putting frequencies up into the atmosphere, right, and the troposphere and the ionosphere and all that. And you think if they're spraying micro metal particles into the air and then they're pumping frequencies through it, what can they do to those particles and what's happening with that? I don't know the answer to this, but it's another little rabbit hole thing for people to look down.
Dr. Assad, you got anything to add to that?
No, you said Jacko was saying himself that it looked like they were holding the cloud in place over the area. They were, dude. They can really kind of precisely do that with it. Interestingly enough, that so for example, San Diego or Southern California, you don't have to necessarily, even though you can't there's certain climates won't let you do certain things, like just the geography of it won't let you do it, right? Maybe you can't make it flood as easily in Southern California, or maybe you can, right? But if it all works as a net together. So what you're doing on the west coast of America is going to be affecting what's happening on the east coast of Asia and all those countries there. So it's like it's all working together. So like that's why, like, even though it might seem useless to cover you with chemtrails and like do nothing, no, that might have a different impact on something going on in the tornado alley in the middle of the United States and stuff like that. So they're doing stuff like that for sure. And like in terms of like how they've been able to like, they've been doing this kind of manipulation with precision for a minimum of 45 years. And at this point, humanity is both toxified by the amount of matter in our body that we're inhaling. I mean, you're worried about a virus, dude. You should be worried about this shit. Like, and people feel the difference, though. I mean, people feel the difference. At this point, we've had enough experience to basically Like, go out on days where the skies are relatively clear, and then you go on days when they do heavy spraying. It's not just your mind that's annoyed that they fucked up the skies. You're annoyed because you can feel how it's like fucking with the way the energy geometry of your body is operating. Like, you have a delicate light body astral light system that serves as a hologram for the information to like encode itself into your physical body. They're messing with that pattern stuff. They're messing with the fidelity of that pattern to prematurely age you, make. There's so many ways they're hitting us with. Like, they're just doing things that they want to mess up the energy pattern and like that symmetry, so that eventually leaks into your body. Although there's a direct toxic effect of taking these chemicals in too. I mean, like, yeah, and in terms of like, so the HAARP can be used not just to flood, they can set off earthquakes. People should understand that too. The antennas aren't just for cloud seeding and cloud particulate manipulation. You can basically aim it to cause a vibration underground, generate a tsunami. So they've got this down to a pretty solid science. They kind of know, and what they really want to do, dude, is like mess up the ecosystem of any area. So, okay, maybe they can't make it rain hardcore, or they can't really stop certain things from happening. They'll just like put you into a state of stunned, like California. The drought in California is crazy, dude. Like, they're not letting it rain in California.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowing it to rain in certain areas, even though nature would do that naturally, right? And then they're flooding the areas. Like, they're just, yeah, so they are playing God with it.
Yep.
Okay. And real quick, who's they?
They is ultimately, to me, the way I look at it, is the left-hand path. These are people who kind of are anti-God, and they know God exists, but they have their own God, Satan or Lucifer or whatever, that type of black arts magic. These are elite sort of like satanic bloodlines that do weird shit, dude. So who the fuck they truly are is definitely beyond me, but I know that they're busy, dude. So that's all I fucking care about. And it's very obvious that our well-being is the furthest thing from their mind, so yeah.
Are we maybe in agreement here that is it people that are trying to create climate change?
Oh, no doubt about that, dude.
Yeah.
This is all to create, crisis, Hegelian dialect bullshit, right? Problem, reaction, solution. Like, that's what, remember you said, like, they had to change it from, global warming to climate change, dude, because their stupid ass models didn't work anymore.
Well, look, I've seen newspaper articles that were printed before I was born that said that the world was going to be over by 2000. By 2005, the world will have ended. This article was printed in 1984, I think.
Yeah.
In 2005, the world will be over because of global warming. All these people that are telling us that global warming is going to rise the sea levels and we're all going to, like, everything's going to be flooded. Yeah. They're buying mansions on the coast. I mean, like, come on, wake up. It's not hard to see. And the other thing as well, this big push to electric cars. Okay, be careful of electric cars. In my opinion, be careful of any car that's produced after 2000, because once they start putting computers in it, they can control it and they can shut it down.
Bro, they could drive you off a cliff if you fucking post the wrong thing, bro.
Yeah, you post the wrong thing. Guess what? You're not allowed to go any more than 1 block away from your house.
All right. Yeah. Let's get into this in just a few minutes. All right. Let's get into this in just a few minutes. All right. But with respects to what you guys are talking about, the control, okay, the global, the climate change, the people at the top. We know who we're all talking about. We don't have to say any specific names. They all seem to be the same players that are involved, in my opinion, with COVID-19. So yeah. I recently, you guys seem to have been onto this way longer than I have, or a lot of people in here have, but I just started looking up. And Dr. Assad, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. When I started looking into this, I go to #Chemtrails, right? And I would watch other people's videos of wherever they were around the world and what was going on. And one really struck me. It was a girl who lived here 25 minutes away from me in Southern California. And her whole thing wasn't conspiratorial. It was, when this happens, it affects my breathing. I can't breathe.
Yes.
It affects me. And now
Yeah.
she already had a breathing issue. You know, I forget exactly what it was. We'll just say
Yeah.
asthma, maybe whatever, you know, there's several of them. But the people who have breathing issues, I think, they seem to really feel this. They seem to really, you know, and so I'm just bringing this back to the they who, you know, because it ties to the same people. And this causes breathing allergies, respiratory issues, which at the beginning was the symptoms of what they're calling COVID-19. So is it possible? Is it possible that, because I tell people COVID, the virus, doesn't exist. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek because I'm going to say, if it does, you need to prove it, you know, and it doesn't exist in the numbers that they're saying, but that's a discussion for another day.
Its existence is predicated, its importance is predicated on a model of immunology that's fucking retarded.
So, but is this causing some, you know?
I'll tell you, I've already probably told this to you, but I remember I was in San Francisco at the time before the COVID started, a couple of months before Wuhan popped off, because I'm outside a lot. I'm outside in the sun a lot. I take all my breaks outside, and if I have a couple hours off, I'm just outside, right? I just started to notice that they're spraying as they normally spray, but for some fucking reason, this is like 4 or 5 months before COVID popped off officially. For some reason now, whatever they're spraying, somehow it's been changed a little bit to induce a little bit of bronchial hyperreactivity and bronchial spasm. I noted that. I knew that I was outside for a lot of hours. That also plays a part too. But just like someone who has a breathing problem is a canary in the coal mine, because they're going to be the first to feel it, I had kind of built up my sensitivity to be like really connected to like the atmosphere, right? And I noticed that distinctly. And I thought to myself at the time, it's like, if you don't know what the fuck this is, and you don't really have to, if you're not paying very close attention, you could definitely just like scare people into like thinking that really it's just EMF and chemtrails coming together to fucking cause bronchial hyperreaction and also like fucking up the breathing full vital capacity of the lungs. But you can be fooled into thinking this is a virus. And you keep hitting the people with radiation, you keep beating the fuck out of the mitochondrial immune system, and you keep adding this stress, you can fool people. You can induce these symptoms electromagnetically. That's why they're so vague and all over the place too. Sun gazing essential. I'm glad someone brought that up. Yeah, I'm a hardcore gazer. Brought that. Let me make sure I'm following her too. Yeah, sun gazing is extremely essential. Just a segue side point. But
okay, so wait, no. That's not a side point, because we talked earlier.
Well, no, it's got a side.
Because on sunny days, no, I'm going to pass it right back to you on this because I wanted you to talk about this tonight. On sunny days here in Southern California, 80-degree days, they're cloud seeding, okay? But I'm telling you, I've only been watching this for 2 months, and now I'm paying attention. It's following the sun. They're blocking the sun, and I am questioning everything they did during COVID was to keep us away from the sun, right? And I know I'm going to be I'm probably the most unhealthy person in this whole entire room right here, right now. So I'm going to defer to you, Dr. Assad. Tell the people the importance of the sun, and with respects to chemtrails, are they blocking the sun to limit your vitamin D? And then talk about the importance of the sun and sun gazing. Go for it.
Yeah, let's just talk about on a very raw level. So this is what I forgot. I knew I forgot something. When they block the sun, all life on Earth is built off the photosynthetic web, phytoplankton in the sea and all the plants on the land, okay? So when they're blocking the sun, they're blocking the amount of yield of light reaching this fauna, basically. That's it. We're built off of that. So when you stab that, you stab the whole ecosystem of the whole world, right? That's part of it. Then when they spray these particles in the air, they're significantly reducing the amount of ultraviolet light that's reaching the ground. Now, the atmosphere and ozone is already blocking a lot of the ultraviolet light, but the amount that reaches the ground is super essential for human well-being, immunity, and just general longevity, okay? Bone health, everyone knows all that stuff. So they're blocking 40, 50, 60% ultraviolet light needs to come down through. And so you can't make the same amount of vitamin D. We're already not spending that much time outside. Then the time that you do spend outside, you're making a very limited amount of vitamin D. Okay, that may not bother you for a month or two, but 6 months, a year, 2 years, yeah, by the end of those 2 years of being locked in quarantined, you're going to be fucked up beyond belief. Now your immune system is going to crash if you just run into a regular bitch ass fucking virus or some shit, dude, right? And also I wanted to make this point. This is going to be a little more of a subtle point, but when you gaze at the sun, again, beginners do this intelligently with sunrise and sunset, but when you gaze at the sun, the clearer the atmosphere is, and this is paradoxical, people don't really quite fully understand this, even though they know this from experience, the clearer the atmosphere is, the easier it is for you to gaze at the sun, even though you would assume that if it's dimmed by chemtrails or blocked a little bit, it might be easier because the sun is so bright. No, when it's a razor sharp, clear line around it, your eyes fix in and it gazes, and you fix a gaze on it properly. When they put all the metal scattering stuff in there, your eyes keep trying to focus and refocus. It's like scattering and refracting the light, and it actually hurts more to try to gaze, even though you're
terrible.
It's harder to look at it when they do that. Also, the sun's, like someone mentioned, light codes. It's important to understand. Think of, even though this is an incorrect analogy, pretend there's a fiber optic cable between your eyes, third eye, and the sun. A fiber optic cable that transmits light information. I just get rid of the physical part. It's wirelessly transmitting this information. And when you muddy the skies and you haze out the skies, you're fucking up the fidelity of the information that's reaching you. So it's like messing up a microphone when you're trying to record something. Maybe 75% of the message gets through at the original sort of like level of resolution. Okay, so that's what they're doing when they block light. They're messing up, and your eyes use that light in 3 different ways. One is to see, right? 2, it's to set the timer of your body, which is a central circuit pacemaker in your thalamus right behind your eyes that receives information from the spectrum of light to figure out what time of day it is, and then release all the hormones in concert properly, right? And the third part that biology doesn't fully understand yet is that your eyes are literally an antenna and almost like an entry point gas tank for energizing your brain and central nervous system via directly gazing at sunlight. People who smoke weed kind of know this already because they hang out outside a lot, and once in a while they just look at the sun by mistake and they find out they like it, and then they don't know what to think because they're like, am I crazy? I'm gazing at the sun. I'm like, no, you're actually generating all the neurotransmitters you need utilizing light and not food. So that's why it's so important for them, and also for depression and spiritual growth and all that shit like that. If you use the sun, it supports you so much with that. You wouldn't, this whole, like, you see all the mental health advertisements you see online just to get an ADHD prescription with a quick telehealth visit online. Cerebral, there's 1,000 different companies. You don't need any of that shit. You don't fucking need therapy. You just need to immerse yourself in nature as much as possible. Unless you had a traumatic, real trauma, like actual trauma, you don't fucking need therapy. You're just fucked up from being inside too much. It's not that complicated. Light energizes the body, literally. It's not a theoretical relationship. The biology and science is there. It's just that normal people don't hear about it enough. You just hear, oh, vitamin D, done. No. You're changing so many parameters in your body. You're protecting yourself from infection via ultraviolet exposure, 1,000 different things. So yeah, dude, this is why they're doing it. They don't want you to sun gaze either. They are, so fundamentally, they are trying to hold you down physically and then also hold back your spiritual potential and even your mind's ability to penetrate and see through all these illusions. If you don't have enough light, you can't see. You can't, it's too dim. So you have to, like, they don't want you to know this shit,
Yeah. Jacko, any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I've done a bit of sun gazing myself. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I do think that being locked inside out of the vitamin D and the exercise, healthy diet, vitamin D, getting out in the fresh air are all so important for our mental health. Absolutely. Yeah, but obviously I'm no expert, so I don't like to talk.
All right, you guys keep saying sun gazing. What the fuck are you talking about? That means just go outside and stare at the sun? Or because I mean, is there like tell the beginner, how do you do this? Because someone's gonna go out there, they're gonna look at the sun, they're gonna like, fuck this shit, I'm going back inside.
Start off with like very early after sunrise or very late before sunset. Just get used to, in the beginning, if you're not adapted to light, just hang out outside without your glasses, without your contacts, without sunglasses. Just hang out outside in bright light, okay? Do that for a few months until you feel bored by the light, like your eyes are adapted, okay? Then at early sunrise, the UV index is like 0 to 1. So there's not enough UV light to hurt you there. And then late sunset, start looking directly towards the direction of it, and then when you can handle it, look directly at the sun. Make it the center point of your meditation. Like, think of it as focusing on a candle or focusing on a bullseye. You want to make the sun still in your vision, because you're like setting up this whole system of like energy basically absorption when you do that shit, basically. Like, you're powering up your astral light body when you sun gaze like that too. And when you power that light body up, basically, you're powering the essential geometry of your whole structure, right? And it's able to feed that information to your physical body better, and you have better health as a result of it, right? This is so beginners can do it. Just expose your eyes to more and more light, right? Sunrise and sunset. Start for 10 seconds. Add 10 seconds every day. Just be intelligent. Follow your body's feedback. There's no rush. Like, really, we should have been doing this as little children. That's why it's even hard for us now, right? Like, it shouldn't be hard to do it at all for people. We've just been basically atrophied. And then you were told that it's only crazy people do it, or that you'll burn your eyes out. I'm like, fucks no, dude. Are you kidding me? It's improved my vision. I used to wear much stronger glasses, and my glasses prescription keeps weakening because I'm gazing at the sun. Like, that makes no fucking sense. That's not what I was taught in medical school. So obviously they're wrong about that, you know?
All right. So now we talked about, we've been talking about the things we can see, you know, which is weather manipulation, the lines in the skies, the chemtrails, you guys. And we talked about who's paying for this, right? And I think we can kind of collectively, okay, it's them, it's they. And whatever they're doing seems to be nefarious in one way or another, right? But what are they doing at night when nobody's able to see the sky?
Setting it up for the next day and doing other weird stuff. Like, you'll have a couple of days, clear. And there's so many factors that change the weather. Even with their chemtrails, there are ways to basically, kind of not allow them to do what they want to do, right? If a whole city it sounds so crazy. If a whole city happens to be kind of happy emotionally, the energy coming off their body changes the weather too. So they're using this stuff in concert. Like, you wake up to a cloud-ridden sky that it's chemtrail, like haze stuff. It puts you in a bad mood, whether you're aware of it or not. And that feeds into the way the weather, it almost locks the weather in place. It sounds like really like, what are you saying? Reality is that interactive? It truly, honestly is. That's why manipulating your emotions is essential. People might think it's separate. I'm like, it is separate in some ways. They want to manipulate your emotions to like whatever, do what they're doing. But they also are doing it to help maintain their control over the weather. And he who controls the weather controls the world. Fucking Lyndon B. Johnson said that shit in a speech back in 62 or some shit like that. So like, the presidents were talking about this shit openly. Yeah, it's very important for them to control the weather, because you know how it is, dude. Our mood is kind of dependent on the weather, whether we like it or not. If it's a miserable kind of like windy, cold, you're gonna not.
Very true.
Yeah.
So how do we get more answers, you guys? I mean, I wanted to just kind of have this discussion tonight, just because, and it's like a lot of topics, I just feel like we have to talk about it. We have to share this information with other people that follow us, because how do we find out what are they doing? How do we expose this? Because I look up at like my daughter's soccer game or something, and it's like, how do people how did I not notice this for 40 years? I mean, I don't know what do we do?
Well, the number one thing when you're at your daughter's soccer game and you look up, talk to the parent that's standing right next to you that's probably the same age, that remembers clear skies, and go, the simplest thing, and it's not conspiracy based, just go, I don't remember this. I don't remember this when I was 10 years old. I stared at the clouds when I was a kid.
And I don't remember this.
Yeah.
I remember the little ones that disappeared. And especially if you've got one where it goes across at the start of the game and you can say, watch it. Let's look at this thing.
Yeah.
It ain't going anywhere. It's spreading.
Just dispersing. Yeah.
Yeah, so what it is, everything with this, and it's not just chemtrails, it's any part of this narrative that they've got going on, this control takeover. It's all about constantly planting seeds in people's brains.
Yeah.
And then tending to those seeds. And sometimes the seed will be like a weed and you drop that seed in their brain and it's going to go crazy. Other times it'll be like some rare flowers once every 50 years plant that you've got to spend hours on every day tending to. But you just got to keep planting the seeds. And in any way, if it can be chemtrail discussion, if it can be, you know, jab injury discussion, if it could be anything you can talk about, the criminal charges against certain people who now their clients aren't being investigated, you know, had his island and all that, him and her had that island, they're not discussed. These are all different points that we can discuss because you never know what seed will take hold in the person's brain, and all it takes is that one seed to take hold, and then bang, you might end up with someone that's as big a truth seeker as the three of us, you know, like, yeah, so that's the most important thing, is just broach those little points of conversation that don't seem like, you know, you don't go, they're spraying us with barium and aluminium, just, man, you remember that as a kid?
Do
you remember that as a kid? Like, or when I'm talking about the Epsteins and stuff and Maxwell, I'm not like, they're raping them and drinking their blood. I'm just like, well, why are we hearing about the Johnny Depp case and we didn't hear about Maxwell and who were their clients? You know, just little things to break the brain. You know,
I think you're right. I think you're right. In the age of misinformation, you know what I mean? There's so many people are just skeptical to receiving conspiracies or what have you. So I think you're right. Just kind of planting that seed and make people think for themselves, you know? Dr. Sal, what do you think?
You're connecting them to their own observations. You're just drawing your attention. Like, check that out. Don't you think it's kind of weird that it's spreading like that? It's hanging in the sky indefinitely. I don't remember that. You're just doing shit like that. Like, cause like you said, you can't just be like, they're drinking their blood, they're killing us. That shit, you can't open with that. You gotta like, just like, you can't. And the thing is, in the beginning, I'm kind of like doing that, but then I finally realized, like, no, every gathering is an opportunity to just open up a possible conversation, let it go where it goes. Don't even try to control it. Let them start thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like that.
Oh, exactly. I had a really great conversation about, it was not long after I got back from Ottawa with someone in the elevator. They'd literally just dropped the mask mandate here in Ontario, and it was the next day, like the day that they dropped it, and I was in the elevator with a guy that he had his mask around his neck, but he wasn't wearing it in the building. And I turned to him, I was like, oh, look, it's so beautiful to see you smile. You know, you got a great smile. You know, I love it. I love seeing people smiling again. It's so good. And we got him talking about it. And the mask came off his neck and went in his pocket. And now I saw him just the other week, and he started talking about all sorts, like, he's obviously planted that seed of discontent and questioning. And he came to me with, like, you know, some pretty serious conspiracy stuff, like, you know, digital ID and stuff. He goes, did you know that they're talking about a digital ID here in Ontario? And I'm like, yeah, I know. And it's, if we don't stop it, it's coming. So, you know, you never know what it is that you'll say or do. But if we try and ram it down people's throats, it's not going to work. We've got to be gentle.
Yeah, I phrase it like this. You're placating their demons in a way. And the demons they have is the brainwashing and trauma that they've gone through. They're trauma victims too. You know, even though they're kind of screaming at us and sort of whatever, they're fundamentally trauma victims. You know, we're aware trauma victims, so it's our duty, it's to our advantage to do exactly what you're saying, Jacko. Like, just facilitate the conversation, keep that before you know it, people are asking you questions like, what the fuck's going on with this digital ID shit? Nigeria,
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
you know, whatever. They shut down.
Or you get the classic. Have you heard of this Klaus Schwab guy?
Oh,
Like,
shit, dude. World,
oh, I'm so proud of you.
All right, so before we swing the subject and have a little fun real quick here, there's a couple people who made a couple comments. So Dr. Assad, I just want you to be able to answer those real quick for the people.
yeah, sorry, I lost my chat. They froze my chat. I can't
No,
even see.
I'll read them out to you. We got 2 questions here, and for anybody in here right now who wants to follow either of these guys, right up here, in case you didn't know, you can just hit that little button up there, and you can quickly follow each of these guys right here, and you can find more. Dr. Assad talks a lot about sungazing, a lot of other subjects that we didn't touch on today, so he's a wealth of knowledge. I highly suggest you guys all follow him. And same for Jacko, you know, freedom fighter in Canada, was there on the front lines in Ottawa, moved here from Australia, so he's got a story to tell. He's big as well on, you know, creating awareness and spreading awareness on chemtrails, among a lot of other things as well. So follow both of these guys, you guys. But Dr. Assad, one of the ladies in here said, won't people get ocular cancer spots if they stare at the sun? And then Maggie's in here said, did you say that sun gazing could help improve your vision?
Yeah, it can. Look, if you have a genetic predisposition to certain like knockouts in your genome, it is possible for you to get those spots you're talking about. But for regular people, no. They've just scared you beyond belief. I've tested stuff out with the sun in terms of, like, this is going to sound crazy to people, but I can gaze at the sun indefinitely, right? I've adapted my body to doing it. There's like some esoteric kind of practices you need to learn to really do that well. But like, I can gaze at a midday sun in summertime, like an hour. Even if the UV index is 12 or 13. That's like an advanced sun gazing that I don't recommend for people. It's not really necessary. All I can tell you is that, one, I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, and each year I go back and I have to get my glasses weakened, and there's no sign of solar retinopathy. There's no, my optic disc is perfect. My fundoscopic exam is perfect. My blood vessels are good. My lens and cornea are perfect. So, you know, I wish I could answer your question. Like, if you ask a traditional ophthalmologist, they'll tell you don't do it. All I can tell you is that my experience speaks to the opposite. And in terms of improving your vision, yes, because actually, I have papers throughout my whole thing. The violet component of sunlight, violet, not ultraviolet, the violet, purple, indigo, purple component. Actually, when your eyes are exposed to it, and you have, if you're nearsighted specifically, myopic, that actually shortens the length of your eye from front to back. So myopia and nearsightedness is too long of a globe from front to back. Your eyes elongated, and the violet light of the sun basically shortens the light from shortens the length of your eye from front to back, improving your myopia. And the reason we don't get enough violet light is because our indoor light is missing a massive amount of violet in it. So we have false artificial spectrum light illuminating our eyes, and that's fucking up our vision as well. But outside, you get plenty of violet light, basically. So yeah, sun gazing, yes, because it's such a, yes, basically, yeah.
All right. Well, and again, if you guys want more, you got questions for Dr. Assad, you know, follow him. Feel free to send him a message. So I just want to end this real quick with something fun, and the people here in the comments can chime in on this. So today, the news of Elon Musk, you know, is in the news today. Let me just say that. I don't really want to talk about Twitter per se, or his acquisition of Twitter, but we all kind of talked about today and all of that. So with respects to 5G, with respects to electric vehicles, you know, what are your thoughts on those 2 subjects and Elon Musk in general?
Don't trust him. Don't trust him. He's a transhumanist. Don't trust him. I personally think he is made to make us think he's on our side, but he's not. He is 100% transhumanist, in with them. Do not trust him. If you think he's our savior, I'm sorry, you're mistaken. He is not. He is part of them. They.
Yes.
Look at his history. Look at, like, he says he grew up poor. They owned a bloody, I can't remember what precious stone it was, but they owned a precious stone. Like, he's He's transhumanist. He wants to plug us all into the internet. He's putting up all these satellites. No, he's not our friend. Sorry, he's not our friend. If we get a little bit of freedom of speech on some social media platforms out of it, whoop-de-doo. But he's not our friend. No. Sorry, that's my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't trust him as far as I could throw him.
Yeah. Fucking Elon Musk is not the real life Tony Stark. People really cannot get over this sort of like movie idea image of these good guys. Neuralink is, it's supposed to be for patients in rehab, but really it's the first step towards transhumanism and the rest of it. Like,
he admits that. He admits that, by the way.
Because the thing is, people get scared. He's like, he's such a funky technologist, futurist, but then at the same time, he does address sort of ethical concerns. I'm like, that's his fucking script, dude. All right? This is not even a very creative script he's presenting you with. Like, it's not super detailed and well written. Like, you should be able to see through it. Like, when he says shit to you, we're like, yeah, you could tell it's real because it looks so fake. Bro, come on, guys. Like, when he shot the Roadster into space, I mean, like, they're mocking us, guys. They're mocking us. He's not our friend. 5G is a huge problem, and Neuralink is a key sort of element. It may not even be the company that they really give a shit about. It might all be government research, but it was a way to make people comfortable with the fact that, yeah, you should stick a fucking wire into your head. It gives you a competitive advantage at work, fuck it, yeah. And then the reason why SpaceX, Virgin Blue, or whatever the fuck Bezos shit is, they all have to jump and create private space companies because people were catching up to NASA's bullshit. Where's the money going? Where are you guys going? Why is the rocket turning sideways? It's like, bro, I thought you were going to space, dude.
I mean, I agree. I'm a big anti Elon Musk guy. He's setting up the global smart grid. But other people have other things about that. And you talked about the ability to.
You can't take away their idols. You know what I mean? They get upset.
Yeah. The biggest thing I hear, I guess, the common thing I hear is that he's going to give us freedom of speech back.
Bro.
I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, mine's never really been affected.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like
whose speech is he giving back? I know Donald Trump was banned off Twitter. I guess apparently I found out today Project Veritas was. Like, okay, cool. That would be cool if they got back on Twitter.
Yeah.
But like, Trump said he's not even going back on Twitter. So who are we all missing right now that's been banned off Twitter? I don't know. Maybe there is a bunch of people.
I'm trying to figure out who's fallen for this, because the libs don't really like him anyway, because he's starting to look a little sort of like on the outside rightish in terms of his politics. But then I guess only Q-tards and people like that were still in the story of like thinking that like, well, all the people in the QAnon and the rest of it, dude, how come we're out here showing our faces and our names, and yet they're still typing fucking little like memos that are encoded in poems and fucking retard shit? Don't you think we're close enough to the seriousness of the situation that we're in that they should be like, fuck it, let's just expose ourselves, let's just be out there and open? Why is it like fucking Guy Fawkes kind of anonymous type bullshit? No thanks, dude.
It's great. It's funny you say that, because I'm big time against Q too, and that's a common thing I get. People tell me, "Oh, you're a QAnon person," based on what I say. It's like I've never been on the board. I fucking hate them, But what was I gonna say? Oh, QAnon people are saying, "Oh no, he made a deal with the white hats. Him and Trump are coming together." Well, newsflash, y'all. Trump said he's not going back to Twitter. And I also think it's kind of interesting that he plans this, or even Twitter, I think conjunctively, they plan, Trump's platform this last weekend, I don't know if you guys know, but hundreds of thousands of people were all of a sudden allowed onto his platform. And then 2 days later, here comes this big news, thing. Elon Musk is buying Twitter now. And there's even articles saying that it might, it could collapse Trump's new platform, because of all this talk. And it's like, okay, but he's on our side. I don't know. This is another debate. Is Trump on our side or not too? People seem to be on the fence with him, but I don't know, man. I can't stand Elon Musk, man. Everything that he does is just super sketch to me.
I don't know which side Trump is on exactly, but I definitely am less worried about him than Elon. In terms of Elon, just is very clear to see to me. And in terms of like, yeah, dude, like I gotta agree with that. Like, I didn't realize that Truth Social let a whole bunch of people on, and then all of a sudden Elon's buying it for 44 billion or whatever. Dude, it's kind of crazy.
Oh, Trump, even in his rally on Saturday night, mentioned, he pushed his platform, and so, I don't know, maybe it's just a coincidence.
Interesting coincidence. And like, also, I got to be very careful because I didn't fall into this, but I had friends who were falling into it. The rise of the cabal is a great information up to a point, but when they tell you about white hats and shit like that, dude, they're just switching your attention to still think that someone else has got the wheel. Fuck that nonsense. You should be like, that's a beta fucking move to sit back and be a spectator. Just let the white hats handle it. Okay, dude. You know what I mean? Like, the white hats might just be the public face of the black hats or whatever. Get me? Like, we're gonna be the good guys. We're gonna help you guys out, but we're gonna be fighting these guys. Oh, I got it. Thanks, dude.
Well, I think that's kind of what happened during the Russian Revolution. They kept thinking, "Oh, we've got people coming for us. We've got people coming for us to help us," and no one was coming. So you just keep sitting there waiting for your savior and just get taken over. Well, you don't sit and wait for stuff. If your house is on fire,
yeah,
it's up to you to put it out. The fire department might come, but if they don't, if you haven't tried at least, you're pathetic.
It's like if fire was like small in your kitchen, and then you insisted on like calling the fire department and waiting for that. It's like,
yeah, exactly. I've got like a tiny little stove fire, and instead of just putting the dry tea towel over the top of it, I'll wait. Oh, I'm on hold with the fire department. I've got to wait an hour. Like, just sort it out yourself.
Like, hang on, it's getting bigger. What do I do? Crazy.
All right, guys. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys coming on tonight. I kind of like this whole little discussion thing, having people on with different, trains of thoughts from different places. Actually, we got a question. Let me see. We got a question real quick. Oh, all right. Here we go. Just in case anybody wants to know right there, we'll go ahead. I don't know who that is. Do your own research, just like I always say on everything, y'all. But,
Vets for Freedom. Vets for Freedom's a group of veterans up here in Canada. Really top bunch of lads. They're starting to stand together to stand up against all this bullshit tyrannical takeover that's starting to take place in Canada. So yeah, check that out. Check out the Instagram page as well. They're really good lads.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, the people of Canada are still fighting. Everybody, obviously, we all are worldwide. There's a guy that's I think it's March for Canada. The guy's been like on a walk to Ottawa or something. He's like on day 60. He's walking down the highway today. I was tripping out on that. But there's a lot of people, a lot of freedom fighters in Canada still trying to bring attention to the tyranny and the fight that's going on in Canada. So, and I think even is it this weekend? Is there a group going to Ottawa this weekend, Jacko?
Yes, we're all heading back to Ottawa this weekend to peacefully protest and lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And then there is a veteran, James Top. He's marching from BC to Ottawa. He's somewhere in, I'm not sure if he's in Manitoba now. I think he's in Manitoba, yeah. Take my hat off to him. I mean, he has just marched his way across the mountains, up one side, down the other. Now he's through the plains, and he's not quitting. He said he's going to make his way all the way to Ottawa. And, so that's interesting. If I can...
What's his story? What's his story? Did he get, like, terminated from the military, or does he have a story? Do you know?
I don't believe, I believe he was already retired from the military. I'm not 100% sure, which is quite terrible on my part. I should know this. I think he was just sick of seeing what's going on in his country, and he thought, you know what, I'm going to march my way to Parliament and let Canada know that I'm against it. I'm sorry, I can't honestly answer. I feel terrible that I can't answer this. I should know the answers to this.
Well,
but,
yeah, there it is right there. Canada marches. This guy's been literally walking from, I think, British Columbia all the way to the other side of the fucking country, right?
Yeah. Well,
He's on
not
day
quite the other
60.
side, but it's a fair whack. Like it's you know, there's only a couple of more provinces past Ottawa, so he's walked pretty much I think it's about 3/4 of the way across the country, I'd say, to be from Ottawa to BC. It's a long way. It's a long way.
I hope that people show up to meet him and greet him when he, if and when God willing he gets there.
That's going to be absolutely amazing when he gets to Ottawa. I'm actually thinking of heading out when he's about a week out of Ottawa and spend the last week walking with him. I think there's a few people who probably do that. Be a bit of a cool experience, even just to walk with him for the last couple of days. But yeah, I'll definitely be making my way out to catch up with him and see him in Ottawa for sure. So.
Yeah, I know. Nada Sheep was there walking with him today. I don't know if she's going to continue to walk with him or not. If somebody knows her handle and wants to tag Nada Sheep's handle, I'll pin that so people can follow and track his journey if you guys are interested in that at all. But go ahead. Last words, Jacko. If you just tell the people again, just finish off what's going on, what's up, what's the update in Canada right now. I know it varies by province, but what are you guys doing? What are you going through right now? Give the people maybe in the United States an update as to what's going on in Canada.
So what's happening at the moment? Lots of legislation's being passed on federal and provincial level all across the country. Some stuff to do with kids and losing parental rights in Quebec. S100 bill, which is passed in Ontario, basically takes away the right to protest. Lots of crazy bills being passed, but one thing that everyone needs to be aware of, and this isn't just a Canadian issue, is the World Health Organization Pandemic Preparedness Agreement, and how if our countries sign on to this, so Australia's set to sign it, Canada's set to sign it, I'd say the US under old Sleepy Joe's probably set to sign it as well, but if our countries sign on to this and then the World Health Organization decides to call another pandemic, all of our constitutional rights and freedoms, everything written in our constitutions will be suspended, and the World Health Organization will have complete control over our country. So it's not about what's happening in Canada. It's all global scale now. It's a globalist takeover of our societies that we need to be aware of, and that's the next major step, I believe, in their takeover plan is this pandemic preparedness agreement from the World Health Organization. So please, that's one to be talking to people about, planting seeds about that, because it's, at any point for an international organization like that, which has no accountability to the people because they aren't voted in, they can take over our country and suspend our constitutions. That's not democracy.
Yeah. They're just trying to put that in to create like a emergency powers kind of avenue to just take countries over and do what they want. So this is very dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very dangerous.
Exactly.
And so is there agenda, if you will, let me say that loosely, is it, on track? Because let me just say this. Everybody says Agenda 2030, okay? And that's a year that's been documented, been marked. It seems to be a year that they're tracking right towards, if you ask me, when you look at everything that's going on. But do you guys think, if you will, go with me, that it is Agenda 2030, that they want all these smart cities and everything to be complete by 2030? Are they on track? Are they behind? Are we slowing their momentum? Are they ahead of the game? What do you guys think, just in your own timeline of if they were going there? Do you think where they at? Are we stopping this? Where is it going?
I think we are jamming them up and causing issues. That's the reason why they're having to kind of drop mask mandates into here and there. That's why they're doing all this shit, because they can sense that damn, they're not very controllable. Even the people who were not opposing us are starting to get sick of this bullshit. So I think we've definitely done significant damage to it versus just going along with it. Almost everyone I know who was vehemently opposed to my opinion early on has basically at least come to reasonable terms with me and then asked pointed questions about medical issues since the beginning, which I obviously we expected, but yeah, it's happening. It's just tragic that so much of this awareness is arising through personal physical injury via experimentation. That's the part that's kind of fucking things up a little bit, because it's like they've injured one of our brothers or sisters, and even when they awaken, they're struggling with some other shit, you know. So I think we are doing good work, in my opinion.
One thing that gets me is how quickly everyone jumped to the next I stand with or the next current thing, you know, like,
Yeah.
First of all, disclaimer notice, all war is bad. I think that any civilian population that's suffering under war is a terrible thing, and we must stop this because as a species, we should be beyond that, and we should be able to live in peace and love and tranquility. But unfortunately, these ruling elites keep pushing us into different wars. But, you know, whenever the mainstream or certain foundations around the world are pushing for us to stand on one side of an argument, I tend to think, well, what the hell's going on? And I don't stand on that side of that argument once I do my research. So that was quite disappointing to see so many people start to wake up only to be put straight back to sleep again with some other sensationalized piece of news. Like, why are we standing so staunchly for one war when there's been other wars going on for years and years and years, and no one gave two, excuse my language, but no one gave two shits about it.
That shows the power of the media and the power of propaganda, I think, you know.
Yep.
And that's why I think it's important, you know, and I can never preach this enough. I have strong opinions and feelings on the lockdowns and the masks and all of that, but, you know, people, I don't think not enough people from the beginning, and, you know, I'm never going to say it's too late, but it isn't too late to start talking, people. If you're in here, if you're in the chat, you know, and you're not posting about something that you're passionate about or something that, you know, you don't think is right, this time is now if there's ever been a time. You know, and I just saw a lot of people from the beginning, everybody's worried about what their brother or what their friend or what their coworker or losing their job. And so many people sat idly. I'll even blame QAnon. Just trust the plan. We got you. You know, there's good people working. Just stay there. You're good. Be comfortable. You know, that's why I hate them. It marginalized a lot of very passionate patriots who cared about freedom, and we were that election was just ripped and stolen. And so, anyways, people, you know, it's never too late to speak up. If you're already speaking up, keep speaking up. You know, and I think we got to stay focused on the things that matter most, Jacko. And that's what you were talking on, is people are just so easily distracted, you know, and yep. Here we are in Canada, and you guys are here. You just named a bunch of things. You guys are going to be losing your rights, and the World Health Organization worldwide, this stuff is still going on while some people feel like things are getting back to normal. So I don't know.
Oh, we can take off our masks. It's all good. Well, unfortunately, so much of the population's already had a bioweapon put in their arm. You know, like, I wish it wasn't this stage that is waking people up, but yeah, it's one of those.
We can work on mitigating their issues too, but here's the funny thing: there's people who are freaking out about the masks coming off, dude.
I know.
There's some anxiety, bro. Like,
it's become part of people's identity nowadays. Yeah. You know, when I started seeing people wearing matching masks, their outfits, and women wearing sequins on their masks, and you know, men wearing their favorite football team on their mask, you know, I'm like, wow, this is something that we might not ever, you know, 3 years into it, people are still wearing them. And I always joke, I'm like, they must have their underwear, you know, right next to their mask, right? It's got to be all in that drawer, their colored masks in their drawer. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
But anyways, that I say to people is, if you can smell someone's fart through the mask and you think an airborne virus isn't going to get through, you're a special kind of stupid.
Yeah.
You know, you really are. And not to be rude, you were dropped on your head one too many times as a child, because, mate, if you can smell a fart, or when you go to the petrol station, if you can smell the gas from the petrol bowser, and you think of airborne virus isn't going to get through.
And now think about,
come on. Did you ride the short bus to school?
And now think about how many scientists in medicine were wearing those masks all the time, nonstop, dude. So that's just what we're in.
Well,
built themselves to be idiots, unfortunately. So,
look, no offense to academics, right? Because this doesn't apply to all people that have taken an academic route in their life. But just because you've got PhD behind your name doesn't mean you're smart. It means you're really good at being told something, remembering it, and parroting it back. Because I think a lot of the academic elite in our world aren't actually smart. They're just a very good memory device. You know, they're like a USB stick. You plug the information in and then you can retrieve it when you want it. Because
yeah,
what are you know, and that's no offense to academics that actually critically think and are standing up and talking about what's going on, you know, but far too many just blatantly, blindly. You know, I actually overheard a nurse. I was in hospital today, and I overheard a nurse say, "Stupid, unvaccinated people."
Oh Lord!
And I was like, I didn't pipe up because I thought, you know what? No, I don't want to get in an argument. I still need to look after here and get kicked out. But I just wanted to say to her, stupid like what? Like having hesitancy to something that now has 9 pages of adverse reactions. 40% increase in heart issues in Queensland in this year. Like, why am I stupid for not taking something that is obviously doing this fucking shit? You know,
if it was any other vaccine or whatever, they would have stopped at like 50 adverse or 200 adverse in a country.
Oh,
it fucking
exactly
that shit. Like let it go to 7, 10, 15, 20, 100,000, man. So yeah.
Well, I saw a statistic come up on my feed the other day, and it was from the original information dump where it was the 1,223 deaths in Europe in the first 90 days. Oof. And they got the percentage of vaccines handed out in that time to death. So it was like 2-point-something% death rate from the shot, but the virus itself worldwide only had like a 1-point-something% death rate. So you
fuck, dude. that's like fucked, like basic math. Like I don't even know how the doctors and scientists kept on conducting shit, like with these train wreck stats coming back at them. You know what I mean? Like,
I got a question for you guys. Have either one of you guys, maybe Dr. Assad, maybe you're closer to this kind of information, have either of you guys seen the overall death numbers from 2021 yet? Because everywhere I've looked, I haven't been able to find it posted.
Looked. I was looking at 2020, 2019. I haven't looked at 2021.
Because everything I've seen, I have the whole list printed upstairs of every country in the entire world, and for like the last 10 years, you know, how many deaths basically they've had, right? So I'm looking at, and basically you hear this said a lot. There was no increased deaths from 2019 to 2020, right? Like so the year 2020, which was the whole entire year of COVID, the first year, the deadly pandemic year.
Unprotected.
Now the overall deaths went up, but by the same percentage that they had gone up every previous year, right? So So my question is, but in 2021, I've heard the deaths actually went up by a lot, and so the only change in 2021 was this. We had COVID. We had COVID 2020, and it didn't go up by any more percentage than in the previous 5-10 years. And you can go look at every country. But now I'm waiting for these numbers because I've heard, and I was just wondering if you guys have seen it, since 2021 is when this got rolled out. And we already all know, I mean, you probably know somebody who died of a heart attack in the last year. 100%. Everybody, I don't know anybody who died from COVID, but I know people who have died from heart attacks. And when you open up here, even my local city newspaper, the first page now, when you open it, is a half-page article about heart attacks. Okay, so I don't know. I just was curious because I can't wait to see. I don't want to see them, but I think that's going to corroborate everything we're all thinking, which is this is the only thing different.
That's it.
And that's the year where everything went up.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that, because we saw the mortality data from like 19 to 20, and it showed just the standard, like almost inflationary increase in number of deaths. Nothing spectacular going on. But I think just based on our testimony, even shit that we've heard about, I would predict it to be significantly higher this year.
Yeah,
Should be
definitely.
right.
Yeah, which is, it correlates with their therapeutic intervention, not the actual disease. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, definitely, definitely. It's and what I found crazy is how they've just been trying to blame heart issues on everything now. Shoveling snow gives you a heart attack. I even read one, teenage boys can suffer heart inflammation from doing something very personal to take care of business, if you know what I mean.
Really?
I saw an article that young teenage boys shouldn't partake in this activity for it can cause heart inflammation. I'm like,
Holy shit, bro.
I know heaps of young men that did that when they were young, when they were teenage boys, and none of us had heart issues.
Bro, if that's happening to kid, man, dude, like
They're blaming on everything. Like everything now gives you a heart attack.
global warming, climate change also gives you.
Oh, yeah, I know. Like everything but the thing gives you a heart attack now. Like it's just
awkward. It must be so awkward in hospitals and like offices where they're going through all the differential diagnosis of what could be going wrong here, and they have to purposely ignore the elephant in the room. It's got to be weird energy in there now, dude. Like it really.
I know, and the thing is so many of these doctors, like people that become doctors, I assume, did it because they want to help people because they're good-hearted people, but push comes to shove, it's time for them all to start speaking up because otherwise, in my opinion, if you don't speak up and stand up now, like in the next few weeks, really, you've picked your side and you're on the side that's going to end up in the dock at the courthouse. Like when the Nuremberg 2 really occurs and we start going after these people. I'm sorry, but if you didn't start standing up by now, you're on the wrong side of history. And unfortunately, crimes against humanity has quite a serious punishment. Just saying.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And same doctors and students that I went to school with that were really going out of their way to call me dangerous early on. Like a very dangerous person in terms of like the misinformation I was putting out there, they were saying. And I'm like, dude, I'm using your own papers to argue against this whole paradigm. So it's all the psychological stuff. Like these people wanted to help people out, but in reality, it was a social thing for them. Many people become physicians for the social prestige, social mobility, even though they want to be good-hearted too. But when push comes to shove, they'll fucking throw you off a cliff and make sure they get their paycheck ultimately.
Yep.
Because they work too hard and their ego is completely, intertwined with the profession. So
I agree. So I keep saying we're gonna. You guys got like 10 more minutes?
Yeah, kind of. I'm starting to get that overheating message, and I'm having to hold an ice cube to the back of my phone.
Probably a good to dip
time
out.
to roll. All right,
Yeah.
all right. I was gonna jump into radiation and stuff like that, but I don't want to do that because that could keep us here another 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So
We'll definitely talk about that. I got some updates and like new papers I want to bring up too, and I'm really happy to meet Jocko as well.
Yeah, definitely.
right.
It was a lovely chat, lads. I'll jump on anytime.
Yeah, bro.
all right, you guys. Well,
All right.
hey, everybody, I appreciate you guys coming in tonight and joining the discussion. I hope you guys learned something tonight. Follow both of these guys. Very, educated, very smart guys, freedom fighters. They care about not only themselves, but about you guys and about their countries and our countries. So just appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We'll catch up with you guys soon. And for everybody that joined in tonight, much love. And like I always say, you guys, make sure you guys stay brave out there, all right? Stay brave, y'all. Have a good night.
All right, cool. Later, guys.